Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how I'm setting up a brand new bullet journal that is going to be fully dedicated to my finances. And I'm super excited because this is the first time that I'm going to be using a craft paper bullet journal. And this setup is going to be super simple. We're not going to be using any colored pens whatsoever. So it's really perfect for beginners, and I hope you get some ideas for your own bullet journal as well. So the first page that I'm going to prepare for my finance bullet journal setup is going to be the cover page. Now, because I'm not sure how many months I'll be able to fit into this bullet journal, because this is the first time that I'm creating a finance bullet journal for myself, so I don't want the cover page to be dedicated to a specific year. So instead, what I'm going to do is just turn the cover page into a quote page, and that's really going to start off my finance bullet journal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some black paper. All of the black paper that I'm going to be using throughout this video is going to be from the Archer and Olive Notepad. I really like this one because it has some dotted grid on it as well, so it can really help me out with my lettering and creating any of my designs. However, feel free to use any black paper that you have lying around, or if you don't want to use black, you can definitely use any white paper or any other colored paper that you have lying around. If you want something that has a little bit more of a design, you can even use something like a newspaper or magazine paper as well. I'm sure we all have some paper lying around here and there, so it's definitely something that is really easy to do. And what I really like about this style is that you don't have to be perfect with how you rip the paper whatsoever. So feel free to just go ahead and rip out the paper into the size that you want. I really like the look of the jagged edges that the ripped paper gives. I find that it just creates so much visual interest and a lot of really fun vintage look to your bullet journal. So once you ripped out a piece of paper that you're happy with, feel free to just glue that onto your bullet journal. I decided to glue this in the middle of the page so that it really gives a symmetrical look for my quote page. So one of the reasons why I wanted to start a finance bullet journal in the first place was because I noticed that I didn't really have an abundance mindset when it comes to finances. So money mindset has been something that I just recently learned about, and one of the things that they talk about is that you can either have a scarcity mindset or an abundance mindset when it comes to money. And depending on the mindset you have, it's really going to subconsciously affect how you behave towards money. So for example, if you're someone that struggles with a scarcity money mindset like I do, you might have a really hard time letting go of money. You might feel like you need to hold on to every single penny, and you're really kind of putting these really strict rules on yourself to save all of your money, and you're really scared to let go of money because you feel like it's such a limited resource. Now, I definitely don't blame you if you have this mindset, because growing up you might hear a lot of things like money doesn't grow on trees, you have to really work hard for money, and hearing these things when we're growing up can really form those subconscious beliefs that money is a limited resource that is hard to get. But after reading a couple of personal finance books recently, I learned that it really doesn't have to be like that. Money doesn't really have to be a source of stress and limitations in your life. Money can be abundance, and there really is an abundant source of money in the world. So I'm really trying to reframe my subconscious beliefs about money. And so the quote that I chose to start off my finance bullet journal is, "I am grateful for the abundance that is already on its way to me." I think I first heard of this quote from Sunny Lenarduzzi, and it really stuck to me because I really love the idea that the abundance is already on its way to you. So it doesn't have to be this thing that you need to chase. It's already on its way to you, and you just have to be open to accepting it. And to finish up the quote page, I'm just gonna draw some small squiggly lines above and below the black craft paper. I'm also gonna add a few little star doodles just to give it more of a little magical touch and feel into this quote page. Now, it's super simple. I just drew really random squiggly lines. I made some of the lines really short and some of them really long to go across the page, and you can really vary how many squiggly lines that you want. I just found this to be a really simple way for you to add a little bit more of that magical touch into your quote page. Now, the next page that I'm going to set up in my finance bullet journal is going to be my goals page. Now, I really love this page because I feel like it's so versatile. Even if you don't have a bullet journal that is dedicated to your finances, you can definitely use this in any of your other bullet journals as well. And you can also use this goals page if you really want to dedicate it into a specific area, whether it's your finances, fitness, or you can even make it general about your whole life in general. And so what I'm first going to do is I'm going to create all of these individual letters into my black paper, and I'm also going to put all of the letters into a white white box. Now, I really like to do this because I find that it's just a nice way for you to add some contrast and make your header and title a lot more interesting, and you don't need to have fancy lettering to do this at all. So I really love this. I find that it's such an easy beginner-friendly title idea, and so once I created all of my letters into the white box, I'm just gonna cut up all of the individual squares. And when I'm cutting up the individual letters, I really want to make sure that I'm cutting just outside of the white boxes. And I also want to try to keep each side as consistent as possible, just to make it look really even and not just have one side that is a lot bigger than the other side. And to make it a lot more fun and interesting, I also like to put all of the letters at different heights just to make it look a little bit more fun and funky. You can also put them all in a straight line if you wish, but I just like this idea because I just find that it gives it more of a fun pop to it as well. So once you play around with the letters and get it into the side that you like, feel free to just glue that onto your bullet journal. And if you're also having the idea of recreating this theme, but you want to have a theme that is a little bit more colorful, you can also play around with having different colored boxes for each letter as well. And that's really going to give you a really fun header idea for your bullet journal. And as a final touch to the header, I also want to include some little star doodles to really make it match the cover page that we did as well. Of course, this is completely optional, but I just find that it really ties everything together. Now, for the actual goals itself, something that has really changed the game for me in my bullet journal was to turn my goals into this little progress tracker. I found that it's such a nice way to add a little bit of a gamification aspect to your goals, and it's really motivating for you to fill up your progress bar and so you get closer to your goals. So to do this, what you want to do is just split your bigger goals into smaller milestones and then create those milestones into the little progress bar. So for example, if I have a yearly goal of saving $6,000, that's gonna mean that I need to save $500 per month. And so I can make a little progress bar and divide that into 12 squares for each month of the year. And so every month that I save $500, I can just fill up and color up my progress bar for that month. And I just found it to be so satisfying and helpful to color in the progress bar every time I make progress. It really helps you feel more motivated even if you just made small progress towards your goals, because having a big goal can really feel overwhelming at the start. So if you're someone that tends to feel overwhelmed whenever you want to set a big goal for yourself, I definitely recommend you trying out this method. And if you feel like you want a little bit more motivation, you can also divide it into even smaller squares. So instead of waiting every month to color in that goal, you can even make weekly milestones to help you get on top of your bigger goal. I even do this for all of my monthly goals as well, so it's just a really great way for me to just stay on top of all of your goals. Now, the next page that I'm going to set up in my finance bullet journal is just going to be a really simple budget overview. And to decorate the page, I'm first going to take a little piece of black paper and rip out a piece so that I can glue that into the corner of my bullet journal page. Now, you can definitely do this to different corners of your page as well, but for now, I just decided to stick it on the top right of my bullet journal just so I can have all of the space I need for my budget tracker. And another reason why I really like to use the Archer and Olive notepad for these papers is because the paper also have a rounded edges that matches perfectly with the bullet journal pages, and so I can just simply rip out a corner from that page and it fits perfectly into my bullet journal when I glue it on. And a really fun way to create some more contrast into your header is to also change the color when the lettering overlaps onto the paper that you glue onto your bullet journal. So on this example, when I'm writing on the KRAFT bullet journal pages, I'm going to be using my black pen. However, whenever the lettering goes on top of the black pages, I'm going to use a white pen instead. So as you can see, there's just so many simple ways for you to create some contrast into your bullet journal. Even though you're not using a lot of different colors, washi tapes, or stickers, you can still make a bullet journal page that pops even without using any of those tools. Now, the budget overview itself is going to be quite simple. What I want to do is track 3 different categories. So how much I'm saving, how much I'm investing, and how much I'm spending each month. And for each category that I'm tracking, I also want to split that into 2 columns each. So one column is going to be the goal that I want, and the other column is going to be the actual amount. So for each category, I can have the goal amount that I want to save and the actual amount that I actually saved for each month. And so that way, for each category, I can see which months I'm meeting my goals and which months where I didn't really meet the exact goal that I was expecting. And I'm just going to finish up the page by separating it into different lines for every month that I want to track my budget. And let me know in the comments down below if you also have any financial goals for yourself. I've also heard a little tip of how you can also rename your saving account in your bank to really reflect the goal that you're saving for. So instead of just having a savings account, you can really rename it to something like saving for a car. And that can also really motivate you to get on top of your savings because you can see the amount of money that you're saving up towards that goal. And it can also really help to prevent you taking away money from that savings account because you could physically see the amount of money that you're taking away from that goal. So let me know in the comments down below if you have any specific goals for yourself for this year. So the next page that I'm going to create for my finance bullet journal setup is going to be a 2023 at a glance page. Now you might have seen something similar on Pinterest, maybe called something like a year in pixel, but I really want to make it twist into a finance version rather than tracking your mood. So what I want to do is create a column for each month of the year, and then from top to bottom, I'm going to number it from 1 to 31, and this is really going to represent every day of that whole year. And then within the squares, I'm also going to be able to add a different color depending on if I spent money that day on necessities or if I spent money on something that I want or if I didn't spend any money at all. And this is really going to be able to give you a really nice snapshot of how you were spending your money throughout the year. And I really like to do this because sometimes it can also reveal certain patterns for you. So for example, I kind of did something similar for one of the months previously in my bullet journal, and I noticed that I always spent money on random things on a Wednesday. So then ever since then, I started to be more aware on how I was spending money. So if it was a Wednesday and I felt the urge to spend money, I really asked myself if it was something that I really needed or if I just felt bored randomly in the middle of the week. And so I'm really excited to do this and see if there are any bigger patterns that I can notice throughout the year. And so if you also want to notice certain patterns for yourself, you can also make a similar tracker, whether it's to track your mood, how you deal with your finances, or anything like that. It's very easy for you to customize to what you need for your bullet journal. Now for the remaining space on the bottom right of the page, I decided to make a little tracker for me to be able to see the biggest expenses for each month. Now I've been following Nicole Victoria under the social media tag No Budget Babe, and something that she talks about is that it's not really spending money that is bad, but it's spending money that is out of alignment that can make you feel really stressed or unhappy with your financial decisions. And so by making sure that I'm tracking my biggest expenses, I can really make sure whether I'm spending money on things that actually bring me joy. So for example, something that I really love to spend money on is just being able to spend money on food, whether that's eating out with my friends or my loved ones. But something else that I really want to reduce my spending on is buying things such as clothes. I find that every time I spend money on clothes, the joy that I get from it is very short-lived, and so I really want to pay attention on how I'm spending my money and making sure that it's really going towards things that actually bring me joy in a longer term. So let me know in the comments down below what categories you really like to enjoy spending your money on, whether it's something simple like bullet journaling or whether you're a foodie like me. Let me know in the comments down below. So the next page that I'm going to create for my finance bullet journal setup is actually going to be a monthly rewards page. Now, I think it's really important to always focus on your goals for every month of the year, but I think it's also really important for you to be able to stay motivated so that you can also meet your goals in the long run. So something that I wanted to do is to also make sure that I'm also setting some time aside to also reward myself. And so I really wanted to make myself a little board of how I can keep track of the little rewards that I make make every month if I'm meeting my goals. So what I wanted to do to create this page is that I wanted to divide the page into 12 rectangles, so one for each month of the year. And then in the middle, I'm also just gonna glue a little black square. And so this black square is really just gonna serve as the title, and I really like to put it in the middle because it just gives a really nice contrast. I find that it kind of gives the vibe of a little board game, so I'm kind of really inspired by a little Monopoly board and kind of turning that into this bullet journal spread. And to create some visual interest, I also wanted to play with different types of fonts for the title of this page. And so when it comes to writing the word monthly, I'm just gonna keep it very simple letters, very small, and also in capital letters. But then when it comes to writing rewards, I wanted to use lowercase letters in this type of hand lettering cursive font. So as you can see, just mixing up the different fonts and the sizes can also really give you some variety into your headers. So that can be a really nice way for you to spice things up in your bullet journal. Now, the next page that I'm going to set up in my finance bullet journal setup is just going to be a monthly log of my income and expenses as well. So the first month is obviously going to be one for January, and so I just want to create a really simple budget tracking page. I'm going to have a little section where I really keep track of a summary of the month. So this is just an overall view of the month, and then I'm just going to have a little section of all of my income and all of my expenses for the month. So I typically do this on an Excel spreadsheet, but what I come to notice is that I become so used to writing these numbers on the Excel sheet that the big numbers just doesn't seem like big numbers anymore. And so it really got me into this habit of being used to spending a lot of money. And so I really want to be able to kind of pull back from that habit and really getting a control of my spending habits in general. And so I really want to practice physically writing down all of the numbers, and hopefully that's going to make me more aware of my spending and really make me more aware of my big purchases. Especially now that I mostly use my credit card to pay for my purchases, I really don't feel the money leaving my bank account. It's not like I'm physically handing over my cash, and so I really wanted to have some sort of physical way that I'm noting down how I'm spending my money so that I can kind of feel how much money I'm spending and not just get so numb to just seeing the big numbers on an Excel spreadsheet. And I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that way. Let me know in the comments down below how you feel. I don't know if maybe it's just me because I've just gotten so used to spending money with my credit card, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it too. I hope you guys enjoyed this finance bullet journal setup. I'm so excited to take you guys along this journey of how I'm trying to change my mindset around money. Leave me an emoji of a leaf in the comments down below if you made it to the very end so I know who my bullet journal besties are. If you also want to get ahead on your finances in your bullet journal, make sure to check out this video here for some different tracker ideas.